Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hey, welcome everyone who's joining in. Yeah, very excited for this expert session today. So, welcome to today's expert session, proudly hosted on AirMeet, our sponsor, and the platform enabling seamless collaboration and knowledge sharing for global communities. We're excited to feature Jamila Jamani, the founder and CEO of Parla Retail, as our guest speaker. Jamila is a third-generation retail entrepreneur with deep experience in fashion marketing, retail operations, and working alongside tech founders. Her unique blend of industry expertise and innovation has shaped Parla into a platform that redefines how retailers engage with customers online. Parla's one-to-one live commerce platform bridges the gap between online and in-store shopping by enabling customers to connect directly with sales experts during live video calls. The platform integrates with existing e-commerce systems, allowing seamless product demonstrations, personalized recommendations, and multi-channel communications via video, voice, SMS, WhatsApp, and email, with simple onboarding and no additional hardware required. Parla helps retailers increase sales conversions and build lasting relationships with their customers. So I'm very excited about this conversation today because I think it seems that live commerce is now finally picking up. And so before we delve into what's all about Parla and live commerce, I always start with the same question, Jamila, which is the big picture. So how did we get here? Who's Jamila? And yeah, tell us all about it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jamila. I'm originally from Toronto and now doing this webinar from London. So like Carlos said, I'm a third generation retail. I've grown up in retail. So I'm third generation in the retail space. I come from a very deep family of entrepreneurs. I think that's been something that was the discussion at the dinner table always was how we would, basically be able to build something, be creative, and create something. That's just like how we grew up. So being an entrepreneur was always going to be my path. It was just how I got there. With growing up in retail, I have worked with customers on the store floor and also doing every part of back office operations. So think about training staff, buying the goods that actually end up in the store, country expansion, implementing ERP systems. I've done the full spectrum. So I really understand how customers, the salesperson, and the brand or retailer all kind of connect and how they all work together. And with Parla, what we're doing is there's obviously a huge gap between the in-store experience and the online experience. So in-store is, it's this wonderful place where you can see product, you can talk to people, and online is where we all live as customers, and we spend all of our time on devices. But the online experience is actually quite solo, it's independent. It's the customer that fends for themselves. And when we look at KPIs in retail, take something like sales conversion, for example, when you look at the comparison of in-store versus online, there's a huge discrepancy. So at Parla, we really look at the industries of what we call considered purchases. So think about buying furniture, jewelry, skincare, sports equipment, musical instruments, anything where customers need more information before they buy the product. When you look at the sales conversion in a store, it's 20 to 40%, and online it's 1 to 2%. So there's a huge gap. And for us at Parla, we're really looking at the future of commerce cannot be two silos of stores and online. There has to be a way to bring these two together. And that's really what we are focused on at Parla. We're looking at how retailers can blend the experience and bring the best of both worlds to their customer.
That's amazing. So let's start then talking about getting into the nitty gritty, and perhaps you have some real business cases of what you guys are doing. I think So, just sharing a bit about myself as well. My father in Brazil, I grew up in retail. He
Okay.
started as a retailer, and he produces dress shirts.
Hmm.
So he has the manufacturing side of things. So the factory. So he manufactures shirts. But how he got really known in Brazil was on the retail side, because at the time we didn't have the internet back in the 90s, and
Yeah.
so we had something almost like QVC, where he figured that there was this channel called in the US they had something. It started in the US actually. Then my dad would go almost like live on TV,
Yeah.
had to improvise stuff, and that's how his brand became known, and that propelled the factory to produce more and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I really see value in what you guys are doing, and I would like to first talk about some of the real cases that you have. So then we can talk about challenges, and then perhaps start
Yeah.
from the business cases, and then challenges of implementing live commerce and stuff like that
Yeah.
today.
So I'll give you one of our examples. We work with a really big furniture home retailer in the US, and their stores are 1 million square feet. They're gigantic. They're bigger than IKEA's or
Hmm.
Costco's. And they sell everything from furniture to appliances, consumer electronics, literally everything. And for them, the salesperson is highly trained, so they're highly skilled at explaining the products to the customer, identifying what product will fulfill the need of the customer, and then providing recommendations to that customer. And essentially, even if you think about payments, figuring out what the right warranties or payment plan is for the customer, and then how to get that item to that customer's store, to their home. But in order to get this level of service, you have to go to the store. You have to physically drive to the store, and this only exists within the four walls of the store, which is relevant to every retailer. If you want access to the salesperson, you have to go to the store.
Right.
And so what they did to be more competitive in the market was they said, we know customers will drive hours to come and talk to our staff, they'll come to see the product, but we want to offer that customer a level of convenience and efficiency, to be more competitive in the market. And so for them, what they do is customers go onto their website and there's calls to action to either book an appointment to meet with a salesperson or to join a video call right now. It's like calling the store. And with Parla, that's where we take over. So as soon as the customer clicks on the button that says start video call or book an appointment, that's our button, and we direct that customer to the relevant salesperson. So it'll
Hmm.
be the expert who knows how to sell fridges if that's what the customer is looking for. And now these two people, the salesperson and the customer, can talk to each other and have this conversation the same way that they would if they were together in person. But the brand is able now to offer that unique shopping experience to the customer irrespective of location. So it's just that simplicity of connecting two people and doing it in a way that is convenient for both the customer when they need that help and connecting them to the right salesperson. It's very similar, I think, to what we're doing today. You are using video to connect people across the world, to meet each other and to have conversations and generate value. And we're doing the exact same thing, just for the retail space to make shopping a little bit more fun and easier to do online.
That's very interesting. And for example, so what you're doing basically is in this very specific case,
Yeah,
you're rerouting, right? So you have a client that needs to talk to someone who's a specialist into, I don't know, assembling chairs,
yeah.
and then you have a specialist in the store that the person can talk to, instead of just talking to anyone and having to, I don't know, to go through the hassle of finding the
The
person,
right
right?
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do the routing so that you get that again. You can talk to the right person at the right time in that customer's journey. And we find that when you connect the customer who's at a point of like, they're in a place of need in their customer shopping journey with the right salesperson, you right away, the same way that you see these amazing metrics in a store, we're able to emulate that online. So we know from McKinsey that's they just released this great stat that 75% of shoppers are likely to spend more money when they've had high quality service from store staff. And so we find the same thing, that if we can connect the customer with the right salesperson, we see super high conversion rates. So we do a minimum of 50% of people who engage on video will actually buy, and they buy 3 times more than they would. So their average order value is much higher. So there's a lot of KPIs that are generated from just simply connecting the customer and the salesperson.
I see so much value, and the thing is, why do you think what challenges do you have to overcome to sell Parla, for example, or to not to sell, but to sell, but to, let's say, to convince someone that this is useful. Like, I used to help a guy in my town here in my city. He sells records, and he's this old guy, super analog, selling records. And this is something that the record niche is actually a growing niche, and it grows in value because if you're selling, it's like collectibles, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much storytelling, and I would tell this guy, hey man, like, he has a platform. I see companies of the future, they need to understand that they are media companies, right? So he was pretty much receiving artists, like hosting artists on a weekly basis. And I said, why don't we go live? Just basic stuff on Instagram, because you're gonna get word of mouth. So I never thought about it. Okay, cool. Then we started doing the live sessions, and then people were like, "Oh, Bo, his name is Bo. Bo is also showing live." And I said, "But why don't we go live on like on a weekly, on a regular basis, just to talk about the records that he had, talk about." So there's so much to be done in the idle time, right, that people have. And I see the value, but then, like, I would like you to tell about the challenges that you come across. I don't know if it's because I do live sessions all the time, and then I was like, this is so obvious, like.
Well, one thing is amazing is that you've grown up with live video, right? With your father doing it to grow his business. So it's amazing that you've seen the impact of it, and it's just kind of having its second life, I would say, outside of China in today's market. I think, like you said, video, when you talk about this experience of connecting a customer and a salesperson over video, it is, for everyone, we get the same response. This is so obvious. Like, yes, this makes sense. And what we find are the obstacles that we have to work around are, there's a few things. One is just the operations. So a lot of companies still operate as siloed organizations where you have stores on one end and e-commerce on the other end. So it takes a lot to get these two departments to actually work together. So there could be operational issues like that where we have to work with both teams on the business case to get them the resources to work together. There could be obstacles around even just how people think about, how do I engage my staff? So how do I train them on a new tool? How do I manage customers who are walking into our store? We don't want customers to walk in where, all the salespeople are on video calls and then no one can work with them. So we get a lot of kind of operational questions. And what we do is we work very, very deeply with the retailer to help them execute the program. And we have almost like a crawl, walk, run way of going live, where retailers can start in a very kind of controlled environment, both with our tech and with the team, and then they can scale the program quite easily as they see the KPIs and they start to build these best practices with their team. So we do a lot of like hand-holding to help the retailers go live with Parla, and it helps us kind of work with them around some of these operational challenges that they might have internally in the organization. Because even though we know that brands have spent the last couple of years heavily investing in their technology and systems, they may not have yet the P&Ls that are reflective of how their businesses or the customer actually shops. They might have different P&Ls. So we work a lot with retailers in that way to overcome these obstacles. But like you said, it's something that for us is really obvious. People understand the experience right away. And it's, they can think about something so simple like when someone calls a store, who's the right person to answer the phone?
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple because your salesperson is already trained, and they know how to engage with customers spontaneously, whether they're walking into a store or calling the store.
But do you think like one of the challenges would be like to have people within the business? I mean, just speaking in front of a camera is uncomfortable for most people. Not for most, but for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So just that in itself, it's probably a challenge. Like in my dad's business now, they are doing a lot of Instagram video, and we have identified typically I mean, a lot of people, they've been working for a long time in my father's company, but we have the super senior people, let's say, that've been in the business for at least 20 years. They understand the product, they understand the fabric, they can tell stories, and they're not super shy to go in front of the camera nowadays to record videos, and so I but still it is a challenge to get people to speak in front of the camera.
100%. And what we advise retailers is that live video shopping is not for your entire team. What we find.
Is it just me who lost her? Can you guys comment, please, and fire your questions? By the way, just while she's I probably lost her for a bit. Yes, she's not here. She dropped. I will try to get her on WhatsApp. Maybe it's a battery thing. We lost you. Yeah, hi. She's on WhatsApp writing. What we often do, guys, is we invite you to join the session as well. So we have still like 10 minutes for me to. Her Wi-Fi dropped. Oh, yeah, the beauty of going live. So she's connecting from her phone. No problem. Our members, they join. They have this privilege of joining our expert sessions with us. So we know this is a differential, like in how communities are run. We enable our members to join in as well and to be part of this conversation, because we know this is powerful, and that's what makes a community, right? So you're part of it. Now, if you have questions, please send your questions. It's so I can read it to Jamila, actually. I think I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly. And yeah, she'll be back in a bit. But we have Hawan here, who's implementing tech. Hawan, would be nice to know if you've implemented this sort of tech for your clients. I see so much value for small businesses, to small businesses to do live shopping, live commerce. Bernardo is here. Hey man, welcome. If you have questions, just go ahead. Please send your questions. And if you've been doing live shopping also, would be nice to know. Yeah, let's just let me see. So she's connecting from her phone. I'll get a member to join us to have a chat. Hey, Hawan, welcome. Good replacement. Let's get also, let me just see, Renee, just to have some fun. Oh, Jamila.
I'm so sorry.
No, no worries, no worries. This
Oh,
is Hawan. He's a member of ours and potentially can sell your technology in Brazil and the US. You see, that's the
amazing.
kind of thing that we do here.
Amazing. I'm so sorry. I hope that this
No, no, no.
stays.
That's the fun part of doing live sessions.
Yeah, I'm hotspotting from my phone, so hopefully it's okay.
All right. So,
I'm sorry. Yeah. So just going back, what we do is we tell the retailer this is not for everyone, and
mhm,
we ask them to essentially ask people who want to participate in the live selling program.
right.
So that's
So,
all around it.
mhm.
Then you get people who actually are comfortable, who want to hone their skills, who also want to participate in kind of creating and building something new for the organization. So it's a lot easier than to create adoption with the staff and to implement new habits.
Yeah, but I think it's the same with the social selling for retail. But like on LinkedIn, if you have a company like B2B company, like your case,
Yeah.
I've been helping companies implement social selling programs, and people are just reluctant of doing doing a video on LinkedIn. The
Yeah.
challenges are not very different. So I
Yeah.
think identifying people who probably are comfortable within your organization and starting with them, and then probably
Yeah.
go out route, right?
Yeah. 100%. That's what we've seen as the success. And that's what we use in our kind of playbook is that you have to ask people, ask your staff who wants to participate in it
Mhm.
so
Do
that you're
you
not
think,
with that resistance.
uh, Jamila, do you think the behavior across, so you're a very international person, which is an amazing thing. So operating in the US,
Yeah.
third generation retailer, living in London. What are you seeing across the board, across in the different countries that you guys are present? Are there differences on how people use live shopping? What are you seeing in terms of trends and differences? And yeah.
Yeah, I think generally as a whole, e-commerce is shifting to a more immersive experience. So I think across the board, e-commerce was in the beginning about kind of connecting customers with products and services that were not available in their backyard.
Mhm.
And there was a story about accessibility and ease and convenience for shopping. And I think what we're seeing now is that e-commerce as it currently stands is not um, it's fine, but it can be so much better. Where even like if you look at just the evolution of how we consume content, in the past it was all kind of text, then it became still images, now we're going into video, whether that's a reel or like a webinar that's live on video, Web3. There's a real, I think, appetite for customers to engage in more immersive experiences. And I think that's something that we're seeing across the world with that kind of adoption of immersive experiences. I think in different countries you have different appetites from a brand's perspective of how much they want to try new technologies or how they think about the customer journey. If you look at something like live stream video, what you were the experience of your father's business, or with your um, Bo who sells the records. Uh,
Mhm.
we know that in China and Asia, live stream formats like QVC, home shopping channel formats have done very well.
Mhm.
They have done pretty good in Europe, but in the US and Canada, customers are not engaging with that form of content as much as they have in other places. So I think that there are different ways customers use technology and experience want to experience shopping. But I think the general trend we're seeing everywhere is that customers are looking for more immersive experiences online and not just like static experiences. And that's a big thing. Is that how do you turn e-com, which was originally about efficiency and convenience, into something now that really is about discovery and there's something exciting and it's not like a pain
Mhm.
to shop online.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the conversation I have specifically with my dad. I mean, forget selling. Of course, that's important, but
Yeah.
your website is a place for discovery. It's a place where people have at least a first experience and touch point with your
Yeah.
brand, and there you can provide that, enable people with an understanding of, okay, content really, right? So what's new about this technology in terms of fabric that we have? Why is this different?
Yeah.
So there's so much to be said and to be created there, and then I see collabs, and I see that is, I think selling is part of a process, as you know, it's everything in life, but uh, and especially in the fashion apparel space, it's super competitive. So
It
if
is. And I
right.
think, yeah, and I think online is hard. It's hard to be competitive online because just the way websites are created, indexing and product discovery is very different. And that's why you need people, you need stores to differentiate yourself.
Mhm.
And that's why for us, we really look at, when you look at the store, what is I would argue the most valuable asset is the salesperson, because
Mhm.
they are the product expert. They can connect with that customer. You know, they can provide a personal answer to the customer's questions. They create that kind of spark, that magic that represents the brand. So I 100% agree with you that you've got to create opportunities to differentiate yourself, and retailers have these assets already with their people. So it's just allowing their people to kind of come out of the physical store walls. That's
Yeah,
where we have the opportunity.
yeah, just before I start inviting our members, we're almost hitting 30 minutes. And Carlos, also another person for you to potentially partner based in Italy.
Yeah.
Uh, what are your views of turning your salespeople into, let's say, business influencers with technologies as such? Because I mean, instead of working, okay, cool, you want to promote something, you know, break into new bubbles, then you can use influencers to you know to get to become known and do collabs. But the best influencers, in my opinion, that you can have are your own people.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you start elevating them with technology as Parla, for
Yeah.
example, then they start becoming known in the business, and customers, they can, you know, that's how we're building these communities, word of mouth,
Yeah.
purely. It's the best, right?
Yep.
Uh, uh, again,
100%.
that's the most obvious, but you know, to me, I
Yeah.
don't know how do you
Yeah,
see.
we agree. We tell the retailers, you've trained your staff. They are product experts. They know what you're selling inside out. They know your brand inside out. So use your people. And I think a lot of companies now are reinvesting back into the salesperson.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I know IKEA is retraining their staff to become interior designers. I was
Mhm.
with Adidas last week. They have just rolled out new store formats in Canada, and they are now investing heavily into turning their salespeople into actual salespeople. So creating a selling culture in their stores. And so I think that brands are really identifying that they've got this talent and that they can use their talent to exactly what you're saying. Connect with customers, sell, and then turn these people into kind of little, you know, businesses, giving them the tools to be able to sell to customers at any location. And that's what our video software does. We access the catalog, we access checkout, so the salesperson really can be accessible outside from anyone outside of the store.
Sweet. Thank you for sharing. I'll start inviting our members, and probably I'll ask you questions. Gustavo, can we invite Carlos? He's here. Let me just check if I can invite him directly, because he had to leave. So it's not that I won't share the questions from all of you guys, but Carlos had to leave. So I'm inviting him. He's at the backstage now. Hoan, you're coming up next. Bernardo, if you'd like to join our stage as well, it's your second time here, I guess, or third. You're also welcome to join our stage. Otherwise, I'll read the questions. Carlos should be joining soon. Is he there, Gustavo? Just give me a thumbs up or some signal. All right, there he is. Welcome, Carlos.
Hi, Carlos.
If it's possible to open your camera, we thank you. Yeah, great, good man. The audio is not coming through. Maybe. And we can see your table. It's a nice looking.
Carlos just joined, right? I have.
Yeah,
the
Carlos just
community.
joined. He's here as a speaker. Can you see?
Yeah, but he just joined the community, right? He
Yeah.
was reading the intro you sent
Yes,
yesterday.
we cannot hear you, Carlos. There's your internet is okay. The camera is pointing to the wrong side, so we can see your table, but we can't see you. Interesting. What's happening? Perhaps if you want to log out and log in again, and then I'll invite how. Yeah, just try to speak. Hello. No, are you? No, we can't hear you. I don't know if it's the phone. Maybe try to unplug your phone and we'll see. Your headset, not phone. Headset. All right. So we'll invite Hawan so we can move on with this, and we'll try. We'll see you in a bit, Carlos. Hawan, go ahead. Hawan is also a very active member. Welcome, Hawan. Introduce yourself, where you're
Hello.
from, and the question, please.
Hey, Jamila. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Really great session and really great technology. I was already checking your website, thinking about some clients that might be interested in applying it. And I also saw in your website some AI applications. So I'd like to know a little bit more. How are you using it? And also, if you can share some a little bit more numbers about how the human to human can increase the potential sales.
Yeah, for sure. So, from a KPI perspective, what we find is that when the customer and salesperson connect, we are increasing. So, online sales conversion usually is 1 to 2%. When we connect these two people, it goes minimum 50%. So, we see anywhere from 50 to 80% of customers buy on the call. So, there's a bunch of things happening. They buy much faster. So most customers buy within 24 hours, if not on that actual video call. So we're speeding up the path to purchase. And it's not just that customers are starting the call saying, help me and understand this specific item. They could be starting their search. So they could be saying, I don't know, I'm going on a holiday and I need a new suitcase. Help me choose my suitcase. So we're really seeing customers go through the shopping funnel much, much faster when they speak to a salesperson. And then we see that they buy more. So online usually has a lower average order value than stores. With the video conversation, we are seeing customers buy 3 times more than they would in store. So they're buying a higher basket size and more items. Our return rate is 0, which is amazing because we all know how much returns cost the industry. But again, it just comes down to you're helping a customer choose the right product. So that confidence allows them to know that they've chosen the right product, and then they don't return it. And then because they've had such a valuable conversation with the salesperson, we find they come back to that same salesperson. So there's a level of loyalty that also kicks in as well. So the KPIs are really, really interesting. They're exciting for us to see from the very beginning. And I tell retailers, I guarantee you in 1 week, you'll see the ROI on this, connecting these two people. From an AI perspective, what's very interesting about what Parla is doing is if you think about shopping in a store, you never really know what the customer is looking for when they're shopping, right? The conversation they have with the salesperson is, it's anecdotal, that feedback you would get from the salesperson. You're just looking at sales data. But with Parla, what we're doing now with AI is we are, through recording the conversations, we are transcribing and summarizing them and drawing out insights. So now a retailer knows, like from firsthand feedback, what the customer was looking for, what questions they were asking, how the salesperson responded, what they were suggesting. And so all of this data is now offering retailers insights into the customer actual shopping conversation, which we never really had before. So you can think about how these insights can start to fuel something like sales training or product selection, like merchandising. It can fuel even just like, what are you posting on social media? Like, what hashtags are you using? So you can start to see how these insights can really be scaled into different parts of the business. So there's a direct impact there.
And is it possible? I was checking also the platforms that you are already integrated.
Yeah.
I'm from Brazil. I'm living now in USA, but we still have the majority of our clients are in Brazil.
Yeah.
Is it possible to connect to VTEX as a Brazilian platform?
Yeah, so we have APIs everywhere. So we can
Okay.
connect to, as long as there's an API, we can connect to it. And we have many ways that we can connect to inventory systems and CRMs. So definitely we can have a conversation to explore what's the quickest and easiest route for the retailer.
Nice. Thank you very much, Jamila.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Alan, as always, man. Carlos, welcome. Let's see if it works now.
Now it should be working.
Nice to meet you, Carlos.
Very nice.
Finally. Well, guys, it's a pleasure to be here, and pleasure to know you, Jamila. I saw that that application is very interesting, and there you go. My daughter is coming. But nevertheless, my question is more on the analytics side. I'm looking at your on your website. I wanted to understand what analytics you're taking and what you think it really makes the difference with your competitor. I've seen that there are several. The big one, I believe it's Bambuser right now, which are Swedish.
Yeah.
How do you compare with them?
Good question. I think, okay, so from an analytics perspective, we do a lot of the basics, like, how many customers are coming onto the site, how many are engaging, what are they buying, what's the kind of conversion rate, all of that. How effective is your salesperson? Because we do surveys after. So we can see the literally live customer feedback of how that conversation was with the salesperson. Mm-hmm. So that's like a critical piece of our analytics, is starting to quantify these kind of soft parts of the retail experience. And then we're doing a lot now with AI. So when you are actually recording the conversation between customer and salesperson, how can you use AI to draw out insights from that conversation? So what, are there product questions? Maybe the customer was looking for a different color or material. What were the sales cues that were required in order to get the customer to convert? So there's a lot around like selling, the sales process, the culture around it, that we can then be able to deliver into the merchandising team, product teams, social team, like the marketing and social teams, customer service, and then training your salespeople. So there's data that we pull out to impact every kind of department of the organization. And we work with the retailers quite closely to understand what they need and what information they need to draw upon and how we can deliver that to them. So is it just a PDF report? Are we kind of sending this back through APIs back to their CRM, for example? And I think from a difference with Bambuser, our technology is very different. We are one-to-one live video first. So our entire platform has been built around connecting these two people and connecting the right person, right customer with the right salesperson. So there's a lot in terms of routing, in terms of how how customers can engage with product on the video call, how the checkout experience happens. So there's a lot kind of technically that's different. But for us, again, drawing from the fact that my background is in retail, our CTO's background also is in retail, we spend the same way that being on the shop floor is so important to understand your customer. We spend so much time in customer success. So we do a lot of time, we spend a lot of time with our retailers and our teams, both the salespeople, managers, and C-level, in designing a successful live video program and looking at how we can help retailers scale it across both the organization and the customer experience. So not just shopping, but how do you now use video in post-sale engagement? So, how can you turn a video call to help a customer troubleshoot an issue and help them resolve that problem, have better loyalty and a better kind of relationship with that brand, and not result in a return. So we really work quite deeply with our retailers in the element of customer success. And this allows us to ensure that the product is also evolving and the roadmap is evolving the way that the business is evolving. So that's really where we differentiate ourselves, is in our deep relationships. And again, like I said, technology is different.
Okay, that makes quite a lot of sense. Thank you.
No problem.
And to take that as a segue for perhaps the next question is like, okay, fine, it's interesting, it's very important to focus on the retail niche, but I see so much value. I mean, any sort of complex sales or complex products in the industry, if you think about, right, that the applicability of a technology like yours. Have you ever had any requests from manufacturers or I think if you're selling or if you want to showcase your car or stuff like that, that is, complex sales, manufacturers, not just, necessarily transactional items.
Definitely. Yeah. So we've seen from a wholesale perspective, we have a use case for wholesale. So the checkout process is a bit different. We do a lot of things we have follow-up built in, like automatic follow-up built in, which is part of, I would say, the wholesale experience as well as retail. In terms of like more complex technologies, they're not technologies, products. We have things like, there's a lot of functionality that supports it. I think at the end of the day, if a customer is buying a tractor or a bag, there's still a level of conversation and expertise that's involved. So we can support that, the brand, regardless of what they're selling. And we've adapted the platform to just help with kind of the details of it. So wholesale, the ordering system is a bit different from retail. We do things like screen share, for example. So there's like little elements of the technology that allows this to then be applicable to other industries in the future. All because right now our focus is really on retail, but there's a lot of applications. We've had requests from hospitality, construction equipment.
Yeah, we have someone from. I'll introduce you to her from. She's a former Audi and Marriott. She was the CIO at this company, so I think there's definitely an opportunity there. So Renee, you're here. Go ahead, please. You both have a live session coming up, but let's make this more interactive with another expert. I'm just a moderator here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
It's cold in Portugal. Can't believe it.
Not really, actually. So yes, I was wondering, Jamila, if you can talk to people a little bit about sort of the different types of use cases. So things like, if you're an online only company, how you might use this, and then also maybe people who only, have 1 or 2 stores, but maybe they sell in international markets. So just kind of talk about like, how would an online business do this? Is it a call center? Is it the people, is it kind of merged with customer service? Maybe just talk about like from an online or a D2C perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So from a D2C perspective, so one of the, I think, opportunities with live video is that you can really connect the customer from any location. And that's been one of the value props of D2C. So as long as the D2C brand has salespeople involved or customer service people involved, they can engage with any customer who comes to the website. So we have D2C companies who are based in London, but the majority of their market is in the US, for example, and they'll end up using these Parla's live video calls to connect with their US customers as if they were together face to face in London. So I find that for D2C brands, it allows them to truly offer this kind of global shopping experience because they're just tapping into their existing resources. And the resources we're seeing are call center staff. So they could be telephone sales staff. They could even be part of your customer service teams that are answering chat and emails. They know your products. So again, you can just give them a channel of video to engage with that customer. So it's really helping in the D2C space where you don't have, a wide network of store footprints, or maybe you don't have a wide network of wholesale partners. Live video is a really great way to connect with your customers irrespective of location. So we've seen that work very, very well. And like I said, you can use your existing resources, whether they are call center staff on the telephone, whether they're the people answering chat or email, or even whether they're your kind of regular warehouse staff. You just need people who know the product and who want to talk to the customer.
Yeah, just one follow up on that. I was talking to a guy who does CFO services for D2C brands, and I've talked to several D2C brands recently, and I think their number one concern these days is the rising cost of CAC, of customer
Yeah.
acquisition. And he made an interesting point to me, which he said of all the companies they work with, and they work with maybe like 60 to 80 D2C brands that are all quite large. He said the ones that are doing the best are the ones that have like repeat purchases. So either it's a subscription business or it's people who come back often. And I wondered, given that backdrop, as people are really concerned about consumer, like rising acquisition costs, I'm actually hearing a lot of D2C brands wanting to go to wholesale and wanting to go to retail for that reason, that it's just like
Yeah.
not a sustainable business model to keep throwing money after acquiring new customers. I wonder if you can talk about how like one-to-one live commerce plays into that new paradigm and how people can think about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think rising CAC and kind of lack of profitability of e-commerce is a huge focus for 2025. And what we're seeing with this one-to-one conversation is that you are not only able to acquire customers. So we find actually the majority of customers using live video are first-time purchasers of the brand, which is very interesting. So they're a first-time purchaser and they purchase within 24 hours. So the profitability of that customer is so high, and then they come back because that they've had this amazing brand interaction with the salesperson. So we're really finding that connecting two people together, the customer at the right time in their shopping journey, where they're actively looking for help with your team who already is trained on your product, it really turns e-com into a channel that can have the same profitability and KPIs and generate the same kind of goodwill as your stores without needing the infrastructure of the stores. And wholesale is great, but it's a different kind of business and inventory requirements. And then there's also a lot still that the brand has to do to ensure the sell-through of these products. So I think live video is kind of like a middle ground between a pure D2C experience and having physical stores. It's really a way for D2C brands to differentiate themselves because e-com it's very homogenous.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's that's why I think they're like looking for new options, right? Like what
Yeah.
are the different ways they can differentiate themselves? And then how can they just, like you said, like how do you stay in business given, the cost of things? And I know you mentioned earlier the cost of returns, but whether it's cost of returns or just cost of like customer acquisition, it is getting, I think, harder and harder for D2C brands. It's not like it used to be. So I do think they need new ways to differentiate themselves. So it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing a lot of trends for 2025 of reinvesting back into that human experience, whether it's store openings, or it's just like retraining your staff and reinvesting in your people. Because I think brands are realizing, going back to your original point, that operating online, it was great in the beginning, but now it's not really a sustainable channel. So how do you need to have it. So how do you actually turn it into a sustainable channel for your business?
Yeah. And then my last question, and then Carlos, I know you want to probably close up too, but how does it affect kind of when you think of like sort of ways of working in the future, do you think that this will change the paradigm of how, store staff need to be in the retail store? Do you see more people being able to work from home? How does that kind of change the ways of working?
I'm really excited about the future of work for retail. I really believe that with video, we are taking the salesperson literally out of the store, out of the need to be in a physical brand environment. And this means that there's an opportunity for store staff to sell from anywhere. So they could sell from home because we are giving them access to the customer, the catalog, and a way to process payment. So I think the future of retail is really exciting. I think that it is going to be extremely immersive, and formats like video allow the salesperson to really have a career and create a business. Going back to your point, Carlos, of how do you allow salespeople to actually like own their own books? They can really start to do that with software like Parla. We can really create a future of work for the retail industry, a real hybrid work environment for salespeople.
I love that. I think there's such an amazing opportunity for that hybrid or even online work. I mean, like imagine there's so much that you could play into your narrative and be like be a real diverse company and provide real inclusion for people who are disabled, for example, and they can't be, and then they can get some of your samples or products and showcase from their homes.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you don't necessarily need to have employees working for you full time, right? And they could be working on idle time, and I mean, or not idle time. It's not the right word, but they don't have to be in store all the time. I saw I saw someone in Brazil that were doing that. I think it's a company called Reserva, right? I'll send you the business case.
Yeah.
What they were doing is, so they have this they were turning fans, brand fans, into like the advocates of the brand, and say, okay, if you like to make some money off Reserva, you can have this discount code on your Instagram, and you can go live, and so you don't necessarily need to be an employee of Reserva. And they were reaching new regions of Brazil without having all the capex to open a new store, but just with fans of the brand, and kind of like almost being like resellers. With so there's immense opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. We're very excited about video is just the beginning. It's just a medium to engage between two people. But I think the applications that are coming out of it, the use cases, the fact, like both you and Renee are saying, there's really like the gig economy for retail can exist now with Parla, and that's really what a lot of our ambitions are around when we look into the future. We're quite excited about that.
Sweet. I think we have one final, actually two final questions, and then you're off our hooks.
Great.
Gustavo, we had a question. Well, from Alexis. She touched that, but maybe if you like to.
Is it this question that came up?
Yes. Sorry. That's the question. So from Bernardo.
Yeah. So there's a lot of data that we pull out of our conversations. Again, to be able to get access to the customer while they're actually shopping, and the conversation that they're having with the salesperson, the way the salesperson sells, how effective they are. That's really it's never really been accessible in the store. And with Parla, we are able to access that conversation and drive insights from it. So we pull out a lot of kind of basic data from what is the customer looking for, how long was the call, what was the sales conversion, which is fine. But the real kind of juicy, neat part of the conversation is, what was the customer asking for? How do their questions and what they ended up ultimately purchasing, how does that impact the product team, the merchandising team, the marketing team? How does the salesperson's conversation in terms of what features they talked about with that item, how they responded to the questions from the customer, how they were able to upsell and increase AOV, how can those data points now fuel sales training or customer service? So there's a ton of insights that we pull out from these conversations, and it ultimately just helps retailers take what is effectively, one-to-one and turn it into really scalable insights that can impact the productivity and operations of the organization. So there's a lot there that we're really excited about as well.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, I think Alexis, she asked, check the status quo of retailer, or okay, how do you check the status quo of a retailer brand on where in the omni-channel journey they are at the moment?
The status quo. For us, because the first thing that we need is just for their e-com and stores to want to work together.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to work together, then we're good from there. So this could end up being the very first omni strategy that they are actually executing on, beyond something simple like maybe inventory locations, which is fine. So it's more just, will these two departments work together? But we're also finding now that organizations have CMOs or CDOs or CTOs where e-com, stores, things with CRM, they all report to the same person. So that org structure is also helping.
Yeah, I think on that point, it's actually a great way of, because what I see is that the physical store sometimes see e-com as a competitor. So
Yeah.
if you start going live here, I mean, then you sell online through the e-commerce, and then you stop with all of the BS that happens, so because
Yeah.
in the end, and then you have to adjust bonus structures as well, because, well, it's for everyone, right? It's
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So that was it. So this was Jamila Jamani today. Renee, thanks very much for facilitating all of this. It's because of you that we are sitting here. Amazing.
Yeah.
Jamila, final words. If not only our members, but the market as a whole wants to know more about Parla and sell more, how can they find you?
Come to our website, parlaretail.com, or our LinkedIn. And if you're very interested about video, Renee and I and another live video founder, Sophie, we have a webinar in a few hours, which is really about understanding all the different formats of video and how it can be used alongside the customer shopping journey. Not only the shopping journey, but also how AI can be used alongside video.
Great stuff. Thanks very much. Thank you for this. So another amazing expert here at Evolve, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye. So I'm pausing the session now.